Hi, my name is Travis Lindsay. I'm here for the Center for Entrepreneurship at Cal State Fullerton, and today we're going to do a little bit different. Most of these interviews are one-on-one or one with a couple, but today we're going to do a panel, and the panel is with some of our SCORE mentors. SCORE serves for, and I did have to look this up, I apologize, it's a Service Corps of Retired Executives. Is that correct, guys?
Well, it is, but we don't use that name anymore.
Oh, we don't? Oh, we don't?
Just call it SCORE for the life of your business.
SCORE for the life of your business. All right. So
it got officially dropped some years ago, because it doesn't particularly fully describe the 10,000 or so volunteers that are in it. They're not all retired. Most are, but some aren't. Some still work. I guess that's the main reason. Plus,
and SCORE is a lot. Yeah, and SCORE is a lot easier to remember.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And that other thing doesn't fit on a business card either. So, there's that too.
There was also some talk, Travis, about the retired part in there. Made it look like the organization members are very, very old. And if you walk into the room and you see the color of the hair or lack of, you realize that nobody's going to kid anybody else about that. But SCORE is a lot easier to say. You're right.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Carl, what we're going to do now is, get into introductions. Since you were talking last, how about you start us off and show us how it's done?
Okay. My name is Carl Woodard, and I've been in the SCORE chapter in Orange County, California, since 2006. I met SCORE mentors by attending a workshop to see if they really knew what they were talking about, to be honest. It was a marketing workshop. And after 10 minutes, I realized that these folks had been there, done that, and they really knew exactly how it worked. And so the next meeting, next week, I went to a chapter meeting and joined up and became a mentor and did that for a few years, and then became chapter chair when one of our chairpersons quit after 3 months, decided that he was going to take a job outside. And I moved up, and then I became district director for about 7 years, and then decided I really missed working with the individual business owners that came in, or people starting to do a business. And that was really the reason I joined SCORE. And so I backed out of doing the district stuff and moved back into Orange County, working with clients and presenting workshops, etc., and doing what I really enjoy doing and why I first came with the organization.
Awesome. Bill, or better known as Greenie to his friends.
Yep. Okay, my name is Bill Greenfield. Yes, most of my friends know me as Greenie. My wife didn't even know I had a first name for about the first 3 dates. I mean, so it goes back a ways. I have been in SCORE for, call it 11 years, I think, next month or something like that. And I have done a variety of things within SCORE, including one-on-one mentoring, arguably our keystone activity, along with helping at in-person workshops. I have almost from the start been a regular coach of new provisional members as we add members. Members do retire from SCORE as well, and other things. And I have done a number of other things. Those have been the principal ones. My work background, the last 20 years before SCORE, I was the majority owner of a very small business in a very siloed world, business to business, in the electronic components and subsystems business. Prior to that, couple of 25 years worth of very large and very small corporate structures while I figured out how to be an entrepreneur. The siloed background gave me some challenges when I first joined SCORE because I wasn't as good a generalist as I needed to be. It was kind of an interesting early journey, learning a lot of other things. And one of the things about an organization like SCORE, as well as being part of the Cal State Fullerton mentoring group, is the constant learning. This is lifelong learning at its best, and arguably maybe one of the best reasons, in addition to giving back, that I've ever wanted to do this. So now I consider myself a generalist, but that took a little while, and a lot of workshops and webinars and a lot of reading. But if you want to do it, that's kind of what you do. So that's me. I finished I believe it's my 11th, I didn't keep good records, class at Cal State Fullerton, mentoring teams, writing their business plans in what's typically called the new business creation courses. So that's me.
Great, thank you, Greenie. Pete, how about you?
Well, thank you, Travis. My name is Pete Riley. I'm a SCORE mentor, and I also mentor classes and individuals at Cal State Fullerton. I have what the Chinese call an interesting, and I call an eclectic background. I've been an electrician, a plumber. I drove big trucks and heavy equipment. I've been a district manager and a systems engineer at a division of IBM. I was a principal at a Big 8 firm. Sorry about that, with a consulting practice. I had private law and consulting practice, and for the last 20 years of my career, I was the vice president general counsel for 2 different companies. So I have a lot of experience with large companies, and then the last 2 enterprises were relatively small. The very last one started with 3 of us in a small office and grew to about 25 million with 9 offices in 3 states by the time I retired in 2013. And so in 2016, I was really looking for several things. One was the collegial relationships that I had at work. I really missed that. And so I found that in the mentoring process with colleagues like Greenie, who I mentor with at Cal State Fullerton, and Travis, and other colleagues like David and Carl at SCORE. And that means a lot to me. It makes my life a lot richer knowing folks like that. Secondly, the world is changing so fast. It's very easy to just be there and fall behind. And I find that the mentoring process, as Greenie said, really makes you stretch a little bit to keep up and absorb new things and all the changes going on in the world, so you can be effective in trying to help young folks and some folks not so young that are starting up, growing, or attempting to sell even in a small business, because the things they're dealing with are the things in the current environment today. So it forces you to stay up to date. And I personally find that very attractive and very valuable. It's one of the things that means a lot to me in the mentoring process. And the other thing is, I think in mentoring, particularly at Cal State Fullerton, I learned something from each and every class that I mentor. It's a terrific learning experience doing that, as well as trying to assist the people that are taking the class. And dealing with young people is always fun. And so that's kind of my background, and thanks for having me.
Thank you, Pete. Yeah, it's fun. It can also be frustrating at times though too, right? You know, mentoring students or anybody. But yeah, I think it's rewarding at the end of the day. David, you are the last but certainly not least panelist here. Please introduce yourself.
Well, I'm the young guy in the group. Oh, other than Travis, I think. But
I might be a couple years younger than you.
yeah, I'm David Wild, and I joined SCORE when I retired, actually about 10 years ago. But my background is in sales and marketing, and international marketing also. But I had a fun time with George Lucas, Disney, Play-Doh, Star Wars. I was sales director for innovation for Hasbro Toy Company. So for 30 years, new ideas came around and we would always be introducing them a year ahead of time. And the hook was always keep the interest of the customer, keep the story going. And so therefore, that was my natural engagement. And I did it here and in Hong Kong and other countries. So the diversity of your student body actually at Cal State Fullerton is kind of my sweet spot. You have many Vietnamese students that I have engaged with quite comfortably with. I grew up in Hawaii amongst a blended group of people. So it's the diversity that's been attractive. When I joined SCORE, one of the opportunities for us was outreach to the community, and in particular with focused on Asian business pockets or Hispanic business pockets. And that's where I've done a lot of the work for SCORE, bringing us to the party rather than them coming to our party, and also grant writing, telling a story. And you mentioned Chat AI. Chat AI can do great researches for the problems of a marketplace or first generation students. What issues do they overcome? Well, mentoring is one of the solutions of that student, actually. That's one of the top things. Find somebody who's not in your community, not your brother, your father, et cetera. So kind of problem solving and engaging with diverse communities is what I've enjoyed. It was always part of my life anyway. And when I retired, I was met with a professional retiring guy, let's say, a future person, thinker, and finance, fitness, and family. Those were all in good shape. But he said, what are you gonna do for your brain or your brain food? So some of the challenges your students give us, or the engagement or the lifelong learning, it feeds the brain, because you can have a strong body, but a soft head. So I think that's one of the big bonuses that the young students keep us fresh, keep us talking about what's realistic in today's business. And so we're kind of the Obi-Wan Kenobi, the old guys in the group, but we need to know who Luke is, and Luke have sharper sabers than we do now, but we know how to kind of maneuver and et cetera, et cetera. So I use that storytelling with the students.
Gotcha. That is awesome. And so the next topic is, why do you mentor? And I think that you guys have already talked quite a lot about that already in your introductions, helping the next generation of entrepreneurs, telling them stories, helping them figure out, where their weak spots are, and helping them strengthen them. Lifelong learning, collaboration, keeping up with the changing world. Are there any other reasons why you guys mentor? Is there any intrinsic, force inside you that's compelling you, or that compelled you to become a mentor in the first place? What separates you from somebody who doesn't want to become a mentor at any part of their life?
Well, if I could just make a quick comment on that. For me, it enables me to feel like I'm still giving something to the community that, that I'm still relevant, that I'm still making a difference. And that's important. I think you need that.
And I could say I was a student in Japan when I was 20. People along that route helped me a lot. I can think of different people who were very meaningful. And I do think students need an influence that's outside of the professor or outside of their teammates. And that SCORE is kind of a unique opportunity for us to, give a story or two or give a direction. I also have brought several students to these different Asian business organizations so they can find a peer group in the community and understand the community. Networking and the way you play amongst the team is really a critical part of your brain power, not just getting an A on your class.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that's critical. So for anybody who's watching this who doesn't understand the process of mentoring at Cal State Fullerton, I'll just go over the quick version of it, or try to. It's been a couple of years since I've had to do this. So for myself, I used to be a professor at Cal State Fullerton, and also I met these guys because I also recruit the mentors at Cal State Fullerton. And so the program there is that for every class in the entrepreneurship program, the students are required to do a project, a team project. Either it's consulting with a local business, helping them in some way, like marketing or operations, or the team project could be about building a business plan and, eventually trying to actually launch that business. And so these are pretty intense projects, right, guys? I mean, it's semester long. I mean, it's some of the hardest work that the students are going to do. They put in hundreds of hours on each project.
They don't take them because they're easy. No.
Well, they just may not know. It's like, hey, here's a surprise. You've got a 150-hour project to do 6 times over in your junior and senior year. Anyways, since these are extremely time consuming and complicated projects, we thought it would make the most sense to try to attach a mentor to each of these groups. So all these guys here, they've mentored for multiple years, dozens of teams, and probably 100+ students apiece that they've mentored. So that's in a nutshell what the program is. So the mentors are there to I guess this is where I could segue into the next topic. So what exactly are the mentors there to do? What is your guys' philosophy or approach to mentoring the students at Cal State Fullerton, or maybe even just people outside that you meet through SCORE or through other means? Whoever wants to take it.
I can start off with that, Travis. We just finished the semester 3 weeks ago, as you know, and I had a group of 5 that I worked with. Of course, there are other ways to mentor at Cal State Fullerton. You can mentor individually. You can judge marketing plans. You can judge fast pitch competitions. You and JJ find a number of ways to call on SCORE mentors to help. But I particularly like working with the small student teams. And there were 5 on there this year. And it probably was the best one I have been with. There were 4 seniors, 1 junior. They all had outside jobs, and I did too when I was going to college, so I could relate to them. I also was able to give them, and I think this is one of the reasons to SCORE, because you got so much experience among the members, these guys here particularly, that we can add practical things to that project about what it's really like to do it in the real world, as opposed to just reading about it in a textbook. And they get a lot of that. And then you can draw on your experience and tell them how to do it. For instance, the survey that we ended up having to do this year, I had the marketing research department reporting to me for 10 years. And I know how to do surveys, of course. And we were able to put together one, get the good answers back, score it. And I hope all of them passed the class. I don't know. But by doing that, just as they read it out of a book, how to do surveys and questionnaires and whatnot, they would not have been able to really get down to focus on it, I don't think, without telling them what you really need to concentrate on, how to do the questions, and keep in mind that you want to get an objective result if you're doing a survey. Otherwise, you're just doing it to meet the professor's expectations. And I enjoyed working with them. They all had demands for their time. None of them lived on campus. And as I said, they were all working, and I could relate to what their challenges were. And I think that was the most rewarding small group that I've worked with. I also enjoyed judging the business plans. I think I just did 12 that are now coming over on the video. And that's another fun project that happens once a year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, the way that I think I used to describe it was that the mentors, they help bridge the gap between what the students are learning from the book and the real world. And it's just actually apply it, because it's one thing, and here's maybe an example that viewers who aren't mentors will better understand. I mean, it's one thing to read in a book how to swing a bat and hit a ball. It's a whole nother thing to hit a home run at Yankee Stadium. And so if you actually have somebody who's been there, done that, they can help you in a way that no amount of reading would be able to. It's not that the reading's not important. We're still a school, and God forbid we say don't read books. And myself, I read dozens of books a year, but you have to have the experience, and so that's what the mentors bring in. How about any other guys? David, what is your mentoring philosophy or just general approach to mentoring?
One of the keys is not to answer the questions too early. Let them find the solutions and ask and see how they're going to, create their own plan. The team leader is a critical part to see how, and basically provide him some added support, I think, in particular, such that he can get credit in a sense in guiding the group. the reason I talk about the community is the answers many times are in contacts that are outside of their awareness. And so leveraging the community to get answers, which is what SCORE is, and it may not be just us on the screen, but it's the other SCORE or other people. So the students have to know who do they want to survey and or meet in person to solve the problem. And it can't be, that's where the book tells you go find that person, but they don't know that contact. I like LinkedIn. I like that as a research tool. I like following the proper companies or the competitors that they're talking about, so that they're not just focused on the customer, they're focused on the customer's competitors, such that that research is very lively. There's lots of ways to get lively information rather than just giving your opinion. You need experts' opinions that are, again, not your best friends.
Exactly.
That's where I play.
Yeah, absolutely. That helping the students build that network of people, because they don't have that kind of social capital built up. So I mean,
And back to grant writing, and I'm helping another person write a grant for first generation college students. Biggest things. Confidence is a big part. Social skills and confidence, etc. Network. They don't have it. Their community, their network isn't the neighborhood such that, so our ability to take them into other networks besides ourselves, or just being aware of them, is a big value there. And to, follow and work with a team, because a lot of the employers are not looking just for the GPA, they're looking for the teammanship. And
right.
a survey or an interview that says, how did you work with the team? What was your position? Were you the leader? Etc.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a really critical point. The whole networking, social capital part of it. So anybody watching this who is thinking, oh, I want to be a mentor, but I don't think I want to spend 12 months or 12 weeks in a row going into Cal State Fullerton and mentoring students. Just signing up to being in our network and being as a resource is extremely valuable to the students, because as David was just talking about, our students, they're very bright. I mean, they're as bright as any other university students similarly situated anywhere, but maybe they just don't have the network. They don't have that work experience. And so if you can only contribute a few hours a year, that could be one way to do it. Just put your name in and say, hey, here's my background. This is what I'm good at. I can't mentor all the time, but I could be used as a resource. And so that would be one way, a great way.
I would.
Greeny, go ahead.
I'd add just one thing to that. I don't know that I've ever had a philosophy, but there is one thing that I have done, I think just intuitively from the first group team that I mentored. Establishing rapport and getting the team leader in particular, to use you, to ask the questions. I'm sure everybody, the other guys are the same. You always feel like you could have helped them a little more if they didn't wait till the last minute to do what's due, etc. But the first thing to establish rapport, and that I'm really there to help, once the business topic is established, I've introduced myself, and you attempt to get to know them the first, we're back in person now. First thing I do is I take a lot of time, I dive in, I do as deep a competitive analysis on the business that they think they want to start, and as much research as I can do. We're all pretty good at it. It isn't that hard. It's getting easier now. And then communicate that to them. And every time it will be kind of an eye-opener to all of them that I'm there to help. If it's something that I put in an email, good, but I'll make sure they all talk also at the next meeting. And this is it, and this is kind of what I found and what I did, and I'm here to help. It's just a way to get it going. Now, still getting them to, ask you for the help, always a challenge. So I've always done that, and I've always been kind of successful doing it, for what it's worth.
Yeah, so Green, that's great. I mean, one of the things that I've heard, I've seen, one of the first things. So I was a student in the program, and then I was a mentor, then in the staff, and then a professor, and then now I'm a consultant living in Texas, or whatever. But one of the things that I noticed is that the students, they don't really know how to deal with the mentor, right? It's sort of like
Mhm.
they're kind of standoffish. They don't
Yep.
know, like, do I ask them questions? Does this guy even know anything? What's their experience? So Greeny was just talking about it. Pete, do you have any approaches, or if you're more highfalutin philosophies for dealing with that kind of pushback?
No, I always try at the first session that we have, typically on Zoom, or maybe it used to be in person. I try to make that an introductory session and, let people know, what they can expect from me as a mentor, and kind of what I expect to be able to contribute to them as a group. And during the process, I try to focus on keeping the group targeted on the things that are going to really benefit them after they graduate, at the point where they actually start to put together a small business. And we've talked a lot about building a network, and that's a very important thing for young people to do. Just start to build a network of colleagues they can call on for assistance and help. But the other thing is, I really try during the process of going through the project, of helping to gently nudge people into becoming aware and looking for other resources that they can use, whether it's government websites or various locations for data that they can research to get competitive information, or whatever it is. I want to make them aware of that, so that they get used to mining their networks, mining their friends and culture, and mining the internet for information as they go forward. Because long and short is, these days, information will make you or break you. The more you know about something, the better positioned you are to be successful at it. And so that's kind of my focus with the group. I try not to tell them anything specific or do things for them. I try to just answer some questions and nudge them in the right directions, and then help them get to and experience the success of being able to find the resources themselves and take advantage of it, because I think that sticks, and that's what we want.
Yeah, I think that's critical. It's not that you're doing the work for them, but you're guiding them in the right direction, and you're helping them, avoid some of those pitfalls that maybe all of us encountered earlier on in our careers. And so pointing those out beforehand, before they fall in the quicksand, is helpful, right?
Yep.
So moving on from that's great. So what are some of the key traits and skills that you see maybe in yourself or other mentors that makes them uniquely situated to be a good mentor?
Travis, I'll start off with that. It's taught among the SCORE mentors. The number one thing you need to learn, and sometimes you have to make sure you avoid doing the opposite. You have to learn to listen.
Yeah.
Listen well.
Yeah.
And it just like
What'd you say?
about who's that?
What did you say? I'm
I
kidding. I'm
couldn't
kidding.
tell. I should have known, Travis, you were going to say that. But like the initial meeting that Pete talked about with the people, I try to listen to each one of the members of the team. And within about 10 minutes, you can tell who's going to be the leader of that team.
Oh, yeah.
And who's going to be the one that can really get the slides together for the presentations. And the other one will do the work, but doesn't want to get up in front of the room and make a presentation. So you've got to kind of work on that, because when they go out, go into business, they're going to have to learn how to do that. I had one on the team this year, and she turned out to be a great presenter. She was fine in the group, but to stand up in front of 30 people, she was scared to death. So once you listen to hear their individual stories, and that's where I learned that they all had jobs, and that they were all in their senior years, and that they're worried about getting everything done. Out of the top 10 things that a good mentor can do with an individual at SCORE or on the campus, out of the top 10, 7 of those things I think is be a good listener. And everything else falls in place after that. Because we got the background. Once you get the input, things start falling in place about how we can direct them and let them find their way toward what they need to get done.
Yeah, it's like how a good mechanic can, diagnose what's wrong with the car as it's driving in, right? It's just immediately they go to that part, they fix it, and you're on your way. And somebody who doesn't listen, it could take them hours, days to figure it out, if ever. So 100%, completely agree. How about any of you other guys? What other key traits or skills do you see as being valuable?
Well, if I can stick a comment in here, I think as a mentor, in addition to giving of your background and knowledge, you have to be of the mindset where you're constantly open to new things and learning yourself. You have to be taking in new things, the new trends. You have to be aware of what's going on. And I think the more aware of what the current state of things today is, the better able you are to mentor, especially young people, new students.
I love this. It's like the growth mindset, but for yourself, but then also for other people. I mean,
Right.
why else would you mentor, right? If you didn't think people could improve. 100%. I love that. Greenie or David, how about you guys? What other skills or traits do you guys bring to the table?
I've got one other comment, kind of like you were saying about chat AI. It's a genius out there, but it's how you prompt chat AI. So in other words, how you ask questions. For the students, sometimes they're abrupt, they're very direct, they don't have that soft touch that they need to kind of work with. So even amongst themselves, but the tone of questions, the tone of body relation or building relations and body language, all that kind of thing is how people get within 30 seconds a judgment on individuals. So it's a lot of that personal stuff that they can get an A in the class or a D in the class. It's still, I just kind of like the big picture of the things we are talking about here, the networking, the presenting yourself, the teammanship is really what you're going to carry for your whole career. It's not just this class, but a really definitive approach to engaging and meeting your new teammates, because these students a lot of times don't know each other that well.
Well, most of the time they don't. At least that's been my experience. Rarely do they seem to know each other at all. They do by the end of the class, hopefully. Yeah, I don't have much to add to that. You gotta have the empathy. You gotta be able to listen. You gotta be able to probe and get. Some of them are, they don't know who you are. They really don't. And getting them to engage and just being a good guy and showing that you kind of maybe can help. It's not easy to get as it gets started. It gets a little easier when they're more opened up. So that's it.
Yeah, no, I mean 100%. It's a challenge, and it feels like at the end of the semester is like when you finally get to really know the students, and they really get to know you. So yeah, I mean definitely 100%. It's a challenge. So networking, listening, all that other stuff. I mean it's stuff that you really need to be a good mentor. All right, now for something fun. From each of you, I want like one significant challenge you've encountered as a mentor, or if you want to be boring, a big success story. So from each of you, who wants to go first?
Well, one of my teams a few years ago at Cal State Fullerton, the leader of the team turned out to be a young lady, and it was her senior year, graduating year. And during the whole session, I was really taken with her ability as a team leader. It was almost natural for her to lead the team and make everybody feel good about what they were doing and feel successful and keep everybody moving forward. And I found out later that she was also the valedictorian of her class, and went into real estate after graduation, and almost immediately had a very successful career. And, you know, I don't take that as the success story of mine, but it was certainly a success story of hers. And I was delighted to be a part of it.
Yep. I would have to say that I have had 11 classes, a broad array. Some have been extremely good. Some of the teams individually and as teams have done spectacular work on the projects. None were, to the best of my knowledge, ever amounted to anything. But in terms of learning the process, boy, they did. A few have been weak, but you know that's life. And the biggest frustration is usually too much last minute that I can't. You know, I keep strange hours, but just me personally. So I don't mind looking at things at the last minute if I know they're going to be there, and I do and have, and try to say, geez, you know, you may not want to put it in quite that way, or a word here or there, but that has tended to be the frustration. But I did it too. Hell. It was a long time ago, but I was a last minute guy always. That everything I did, everything I wrote and studied for. But you know, is there an answer to that? No. Patience, you know, willingness to hang in with them, and they knew that. Maybe that's part of it, because they know I am very responsive and keep weird hours. It's not like I say I turn things off at 7 p.m. or something. I'm not that way. So, you know, and you know, that's about it.
No, that's great. Well, one of the things that I caught there that I think is really powerful is setting up expectations, right? So these are students. We'll just talk about Cal State Fullerton right now. So they're students, they're learning. Some of them may have work experience, some more than others, some maybe don't have much at all. So the expectations, you know, should be kept in check. It's not like if you were mentoring a team that is working on a business plan or trying to launch that business, that, you know, by the end of the semester, they're going to be listed on NASDAQ. That's not going to happen. But the purpose of this in the classroom anyways, is to help the students learn the process, try to develop the skills that they need, develop the network that they have, and, you know, try to push them, challenge them with unique situations that they otherwise would not get in most normal classrooms. So it's not, you know, read the case, do some extra research, and, you know, respond to the case. It's actually, they're actually working with real businesses, either on the consulting end or even potentially launching real businesses, which some do. And they become real businesses that make money, and they do well. Or, you know, with some of them, they don't actually launch that thing that they worked on in the classroom, but they do launch something else down the road.
Yeah.
And so those skills help them. So yeah, I mean, that's what you got to, you know, have in mind when you come into the classroom as a mentor. Sorry for butting in. David or Carl, how about you guys? Any challenges or success stories you'd like to share?
One more comment would be that I've seen some stage fright, tremendous stage fright before the presentation, and yet their work in the research is excellent.
Right.
But to be able to stand and explain it, sometimes they feel they're being judged too much. Yeah. So that transition from researcher to front pitch man in a summary sometimes isn't natural for them. So I've just helped them in a lot of different ways that way, just basically lightening the load that the customer's not going to listen to every word. He's going to listen to the direction of the big project. It's not all on one word. It's all on communicating and engaging. And the research will follow that's the customer is going to, in a sense, act on. You're just giving just making them feel more comfortable in a sense. And comfort is tricky. And I've done that with a couple of different international students, and in particular Vietnam, where a little more isolation, a little more communication weakness. And I've taken them to meet Tam Nguyen, the president of Advanced Beauty College, who actually has invited several of them to his house. believe it or not, they find a network, they find confidence, they realize Tam, speaks Vietnamese, but he's been here for many, many years. There's somewhat that kind of finds your team that supports you in the community, has helped them gain confidence. And that gentleman I'm thinking of has gone on to New York to be in high finance and huge success. Research great, never going to be great in front of the team, but enough to be able to pull his weight.
100%. How about you, Carl?
Travis, it's easy for me. The biggest challenge I had, and I think everybody here can relate to it. This was several years ago at Cal State Fullerton. I had a team, and we were working with an outside company to put together a business plan and help them prioritize all the things that they needed to do. And what is the semester? 11, 13 weeks, Travis? I always say 13.
For the mentor, they usually are there for 12, 13 weeks. The semester itself lasts 16, including finals.
Okay. Okay. So we had that period of time. And without telling you the name of the business, we don't do any of that, give any of that away. But it was a company that was headquartered in France. And he had selected a person here that he knew that was good with computers and begged him to be president of his company and represent it here in the United States. Introducing a product that was a hand sanitizer. This was pre-COVID. They already had hand sanitizers with big names like Perel all over the place. And he just wanted to get in there and make some money. Okay, so we went down and interviewed him. We had everything going fine. On the 5th week, the guy from France called up and said, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm withdrawing all the money. And so the company just kind of blew up in our face. And so we looked at all the members of the team. JJ recalls this. And the fellow who was the tech guy who he had hired to be the US representative said, hey guys, I know you got half a semester left. I know you got to work toward a business plan. I need help. And believe me, he did. If there was a type A personality, he was like AAA. He could not keep everything straight. He was working about 20 hours a day, totally neglected his family, trying to keep this business going. And so our team, way before the term pivot meant anything but a basketball game, we pivoted and started working with him, immediately started interviewing him with what he needed. And by the end of the semester, we had a business plan put together for this guy in about 6 or 7 weeks. And so that was the biggest challenge. When the guy called me up one day and said, guess what? We don't have the money anymore. He doesn't want to do the plan and he's out of business. And the professor, who is now retired, I got to know him pretty well and actually recruited him to get into SCORE. And he was in the SCORE chapter for about 3 years as once he retired, and he's left now. I think he's still at Cal State with the gerontology department. But anyway, one of the big things out of that was to recruit the college professor to join our SCORE chapter. But that was a real challenge when all of a sudden the business blows up halfway through the semester and you still got to get that business plan written.
Yeah, 100%. I actually had that when I was doing my MBA, the capstone course. They do consulting projects. They don't have mentors on them. But anyways, one of the fellow students had to drop out, like 4 weeks before the end of the semester. And so we all had to like scramble and get stuff done. But honestly, maybe I'm just sick in the head because I'm kind of the guy who would like to go, just give the speech and be done with it, not have to do all the extra research or, do the extra work at the last minute. I'll be, contacting Greenie at 4 a.m., asking him for help, that sort of thing. But yeah, so I sort of like those situations. And, the big one that, as you guys were talking, popped out to me, the biggest challenge I could remember was, I started teaching fall of 2019. I think that was, yeah, that's right. And then, spring of 2020, there was this big event, right? COVID. And so you're talking about a project getting blown up in the middle of the semester. The semester was blown up in the middle of the semester, that semester. And so trying to transition everybody over from being in person to online, I could probably talk about that for an hour or more, but I'll spare you guys. But yeah, I mean, that was a huge challenge and maybe something I should delve into more down the road. But I see we're ending or nearing the end of our time here. Do you guys, I'll just go around and say, or ask you guys if you have anything else to share, to anybody who's thinking about becoming a mentor, any, memories, recollections about being a mentor that you think, people would benefit from, anything to share. I'll just go left to right on my screen. Pete, how about you? Do you have any last words?
Sure. A lot of people I talk to about being a mentor are reluctant because they don't think their skills, perhaps they've been their whole career in a large corporate environment, and they don't think their skills translate to assisting people with a startup. And I always tell them, there are more than enough resources available to help you position yourself to be a real point of assistance to someone starting a business. Don't let that stop you, because the main characteristics are really being a good listener, trying to figure out what the person's trying to accomplish and where they are really, not where they think they are, and then helping them find the resources they need to move ahead. So, just because somebody had a career with a large corporation, that doesn't prevent them from being effective as a mentor in the typical situations. It really doesn't.
Yeah, 100%. Some of the best lessons I've learned have come from the most unexpected places. Greenie, how about you?
I would only say that mentoring, particularly Cal State Fullerton, is, mentioned already, incredibly good to do it with younger people whose ideas are different than the, if you will, day-to-day mentoring of people that we do at SCORE. So, young ideas, young thoughts, watching their capabilities that I didn't grow up with, very, very rewarding, as all mentoring is. That's one of the primary reasons, is giving back. Hopefully, you're helping people as best you can, and darn well you're helping. It's a matter of degree and how they want to take it. And it's the same within SCORE. That's what it's all about. It is easy to, quote, sell mentoring at Cal State Fullerton. For that reason, it really is a different experience than within an organization like SCORE, and an additive to yourself. And yes, as I said it before, there's so many resources to be way more than enough of a generalist, period, everywhere. Within SCORE, that's essentially all free. Free, the magic word. Yeah, that's it.
It's free, but it's valuable, because you're right. I mean, everybody's got something to teach, and especially you guys. I mean, you do have the experience, right? So yeah, if you're watching this and you're a startup, or you have a business and you're looking for help, SCORE is an awesome option. Cal State Fullerton's an awesome option. There's tons of resources around. You just got to start looking. And the great thing is that guys like this, and myself even, when people call up and say, hey, I need some help on something, even if we don't know you, or only know you a little bit, we'll pick up the phone and talk with you for a little while. So David, any last words for anybody who's watching this?
Well, similar to what they just said there, is don't be afraid to be a mentor, and realize if you're part of SCORE that you've got a whole team behind you that you can tap into and leverage. And I tell the students that when they become a superstar, they're one of the Marvel characters, which I sold Marvel at Iron Man and then Spider-Man, et cetera. But their team was the Avengers. You need to see yourself as a team of Avengers. The students you go with, the people that you meet, become your extended team. And you're much more efficient if you know each other.
David, I think that's
yeah, David's internet gave out.
David froze. So this happens, people. Carl, let's go to you, and then if David comes back, we'll circle back.
Okay, great. Everybody in our chapter knows that I'm working as liaison with Cal State Fullerton for the next couple of years. And I just want to say that there's more opportunity out there than we have current mentors joining the team. And I would encourage people to do that. If you're working with these student teams, as a couple of people have already mentioned here, you're meeting 5 or 6 or 7 brand new people each semester. And they're wonderful. They've got great ideas. They're at the point where they don't know that they can't do things. And that's always fun. That keeps you young. And I've got a son and a daughter, both that are grads of Cal State Fullerton, the son in the School of Business. I'm always interested in what the professors are teaching, what their philosophies are, how it's changed from, years ago when I was in school. And now that Cal State Fullerton has moved closer to this collaboration with junior colleges, I think that that's a good thing too, because we're able to meet people who are a couple of years even younger, and they're going to move into the university system, or per these boot camps, go directly into like the automotive or culinary or whatever enterprise, and that's another whole dimension. So for any of our members that can take the time to do that, I would encourage to do it. It really is a fun process, and it takes you away from interviewing the one-on-one business people that come in. It's a whole different perspective, and it'll keep your mind active, that's for sure. So I would encourage you to join up and be a mentor at Cal State Fullerton.
100%, yeah, and like you were saying there, I mean, we're Cal State Fullerton is working more with junior colleges, also high schools, grade schools, and then going the other way, people who are just starting out their career, mid-career, end of their career, retired, so pretty much anything from 13 on up to 103. David, I want to circle back to you because unfortunately your internet cut out there for a little bit. So I kind of forget where you left off, but
I don't remember exactly where I would have lost you, but talking about the toy business and the Avengers, the idea of students have powers, but they're more powerful when they know they're part of a team. And the college is a team, the mentors are your team, and realizing that you don't need to know everything to run a business. You need to know where the results and the solutions are. And that is what a mentor can expand on and widen your network, et cetera, et cetera. So I enjoyed Cal State Fullerton. I think it rounds out the experience for a mentor here, and it actually helps you be more effective on one-on-one when you do that.
100%. And I think this interview went, better just because we were all here as a team working together, figuring stuff out, talking about mentoring in general and at Cal State Fullerton. So I think that's it for me. I'll put information in the description for everybody who's watching. So that they'll be able to sign up to be a mentor with Cal State Fullerton over at SCORE, and then to reach out to us for more information. Do you guys have a specific contact that you want to use for people who want more information about SCORE?
Any of us really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do it. But
awesome.
As far as the connection with universities, David's taken a lead role with UCI. I'm doing it with Cal State Fullerton, and Greenie and Pete are, everyday mentors. The main thing is to get in contact with us. We'll make sure that they get on the team.
100%.
And
Yeah.
also, if I can,
Score.org.
yeah, I was going to say they can go on score.org/Orange County, and there's a pop-up that will enable them to fill out a form that they can submit, and then start the process to become a mentor. And we'd certainly encourage them to do that.
All right, I'll put that. I'll find that URL and I'll put it in the description along with some glowing remarks about all of you guys. But anyways, thank you all very much. I really appreciate it. I know that you all have busy schedules, so thank you for taking some time out of your day to do this panel with me. Thank you, guys.